Welcome to Coffee Break with Rachel Vigil, taking a daily look at the biggest stories in Denver sports and interacting live with you, the Coffee Break fam. So sit back, relax, grab a cup of joe, and enjoy your coffee break. Here's your host, Rachel Vigil.
What's up, everybody? Happy Thursday. We'll look ahead to Thursday Night Football tonight, too. But of course, on Thursdays, we love talking about the Broncos matchup. And I promise you, we will also get into a little bit of Avs and Nuggets, too. So happy Thursday. Welcome into Coffee Break. You guys, I'm super stoked because we have Daniel Popper from The Athletic hopping on to chat with us as we will be talking, of course, about the question of the day. Can Patrick Surtain slow down the Chargers' biggest threat, Keenan Allen? Is that even possible? Can you slow down Keenan Allen? Let's bring him in, you guys, because, of course, only good things to talk about. Daniel, what's up, my friend? How are you?
Doing great. How are you? Thanks for having me.
I'm good. I'm excited. Can you tell? I get so excited on Thursdays because I love talking about the matchup ahead. So I'm like, all right, let's go. Let's discuss it. A lot of people here in Denver were like, coin flip of a game. Broncos could win. Chargers could win. It's like, I don't know. They both kind of have pros and cons to each side of the ball. For you, let's start with Keenan Allen. Dude has just popped off in some games. He's got like a few 200-yard games or like close to 200-yard games. What's the key to his success?
Well, I think in terms of volume this year, he's been pretty much the entire offense. You start with some of the injuries that they've had at receiver. Mike Williams tore his ACL in week 3. Josh Palmer has missed the last 5 games with a knee sprain of his own. And so Keenan's been the guy in that sense. At the same time, the Chargers can't run the ball at all. Like they're the worst rushing team in the league. They won't be able to run it against the Broncos. They won't be able to run it against anybody for the rest of the season. It's just the reality of the situation. So when you're in that position, you basically lean into whatever you have. And what you have is Justin Herbert and Keenan Allen. And so like volume wise, that's why I think you've seen him, already hit 100 receptions, have like a legitimate shot at breaking the single season catch record for the NFL. He's going to set the Chargers single season catch record. He's probably going to finish with the most yards in his career. What makes Keenan special, though, is different than what makes most receivers special in the NFL. A lot of receivers in the NFL rely on like God-given athletic ability. Keenan is not like the most athletic guy, but he is, in my opinion, the most refined route runner in the league. And he wins with deception. And particularly in terms of how he changes speeds, how he changes his releases off the line, how he changes speeds coming in and out of breaks. The other thing is schematically within the offense, Kellen Moore has done a really good job of moving Keenan around, not only in terms of where he's lining up, but also in terms of pre-snap motion. It's the most I've ever seen Keenan Allen move around in terms of pre-snap motion since I started covering the team in 2019. So that'll be the thing to watch. I mean, they move him in motion on pretty much every play. They line him up in the backfield. They're slot him in the slot, short motion, across the formation, all sorts of different stuff to try and create matchups and get him on the move. And I think all of those have sort of combined to lead to this pretty tremendous season so far from Keenan Allen.
That was the one thing when I was watching some of his tape. I'm like, man, they move him all the time. He is quite literally always in motion. For being, 32 years old, that's not exactly a quote-unquote young cat in the NFL, and yet he still looks good doing it. Patrick Surtain is what we're assuming most likely is going to line up a majority of the time on Keenan Allen, obviously a very good cornerback in the league. What's your assessment of Pat Surtain in this matchup?
Yeah, I mean, I've yet to see a corner that can match up with Keenan one-on-one. Maybe we'll see it this weekend. I think like with the way the Chargers are structured, like if I was game planning against the Chargers, I will double Keenan Allen on every single play and force somebody else to beat me because, like I said, you don't really have to worry about the running game. And the other receivers that they have out there, it's Jalen Guyton, who's coming off a torn ACL and is not really at 100%. It's Alex Erickson, who was a practice squad guy, has been a journeyman. Quentin Johnston, their rookie, really can't separate. So like if I was going into it, I wouldn't really want like a one-on-one matchup, even if Pat Surtain is maybe the best cornerback in the league. Like give him help, double Keenan, take Keenan out of the game if you can, and then force some of these other guys to beat you, because what the Chargers have proven so far this season is that like no one else is really capable of beating single coverage like on a regular basis, and so that's how I would sort of approach it. But we'll sort of see. We'll see if Pat Surtain can match up with Keenan, particularly in the slot. That's what I'd be interested in because that's where Keenan does most of his work.
Okay, so let's just pretend, for the sake of the show, they do double coverage on Keenan, and yet Justin Herbert's finds somebody else. Who's the name that people should really be paying attention to?
Yeah, I think it's Gerald Everett at tight end. He's really tremendous with the ball in his hands, really physical after the catch. You've seen him take on a little bit of a bigger role. He was battling a bit of an injury, like a chest injury that he hurt, like blocking Aiden Hutchinson in the Lions game. That was like a car crash collision, like on the goal line. But that's the guy I look to. He's like the most consistent in terms of creating separation, in terms of hands, in terms of ability after the catch. Like that's the guy that I would really look to as far as like a secondary option after Keenan Allen. But like for the most part this season, they've just been force feeding Keenan and finding ways to get him the ball. The interesting is like what we were talking about earlier, like when you are moving a guy around that much in terms of pre-snap motion, it forces defense to make checks, to make adjustments, and to figure it out. So like if you're doubling Keenan, all of a sudden he shifts from the left side to the right side. The second player that's covering him, if you're in man coverage, for example, would have to switch. So that forces a lot of communication, which is why I think, like, despite the fact that he's the lone guy on the offense, the Chargers have been able to get him the ball so much is because through this motion, through all the different alignments, what they're doing pre-snap, they're really forcing defenses to adjust and find ways to get two guys on Keenan.
As we sit here and talk, I'm like, man, you would think that this Chargers team would be putting up so many points, and yet they only had 6 points against a very bad Patriots team. So what's been the issue?
Yeah, I think overall, I think the offense has been solid. Now, I don't think it's like, a top 5 offense in the league. Like I pin some of that on injuries, like we mentioned, Mike and Josh Palmer. Corey Linsley at center was kind of an underrated loss for this team. He ended up on the non-football illness list after week 3. He's really the engine for them in pass protection and in the run game. But when you look at the inconsistencies, I think the first thing I point at is the run game. And I think it's super frustrating for people inside that building because they brought Kellen Moore in primarily because they wanted to improve their running game. Like they felt like they weren't there under Joe Lombardi. And so they brought in Kellen Moore to fix that part of the offense. And it just hasn't translated. The offensive line has not coalesced the way they expected. I think they have, a lack of run blocking at tight end. I think some of the attrition at receivers has created some inconsistencies in terms of how they're fitting up some of these runs. But you need to be balanced in the NFL. And you don't necessarily have to be 50-50 in terms of how you're calling run and pass, but the threat of the run has to be there. And if the threat of the run is there based on what you've done previously, then that opens up so much for you in terms of how teams are playing you in pass coverage, what you can do in terms of play action, screen game, all that different kind of stuff. So like the inability to run the ball, I think has fueled pretty much a majority of the inconsistencies that they've had this year. And then the other issue I'd point to is in late game situations, they've been prone to some pass protection breakdowns. And so like you look at all these close games that they've lost 5 games by 3 points or less this year. In those late game situations, there has been a sack on every single one of those 2-minute drives. And so that's what I would look for. If you're a Broncos fan trying to figure out what's going on with this Chargers offense, run game has been a huge issue. And then late in games, the pass protection has really broken down and has prevented the Chargers from being able to execute some of these 2-minute drives that would have flipped some of these scores in some of these close games.
Those big guys are getting tired, man, being out there. Especially because there is no run game. They're having to block Justin Herbert for God knows how many seconds. You know what I mean? I can get why you get tired, but at the same time, make a lot of money. You train a lot of hours to be able to protect him out there. Okay, let's move to the other side of the ball now because Russell Wilson has been known to take some sacks and some pretty bad sacks, and you guys have one of the best guys to do that. Khalil Mack, obviously leading the NFL in sacks. I know he did not practice yesterday. A veteran rest day is what I've been told. What's your assessment on Khalil Mack, too? Because it just seems like time and time again, his name pops up, and he just seems to be getting better and better.
Yeah, so veteran rest day, Khalil gets one of those every Wednesday. So I should show you this because I'm in the middle of watching Khalil Mack film. This is every splash play he's made this season charted that I'm actually about 3/4 of the way through. So I'm very well prepared to talk about this. So when the Chargers traded for him in the offseason of 2022, I think, obviously he had been a defensive player of the year. He'd been like one of the best players in the league. I don't think they expected to get that player, right? Like I think that you trade a 2nd-round pick for him. He had some experience with Brandon Staley. I think they were looking for 70 to 80% of that like elite top level Khalil Mack, and they would have been happy with the trade. What's happened this season is he's been that player. He's been like defensive player of the year level, all pro level. And so what I think's happened is he was dealing with a foot issue that he suffered in his last year in Chicago, still kind of managing that in his first year with the Chargers. This year, he's healthy and he's wrecking every game that he's in. It's not just the sacks. Obviously, he leads the league in sacks, but the way he's affecting the quarterbacks on a snap-to-snap basis in terms of pressure has been off the charts. And then what he's done in the run game has been unbelievable. Like I think he's probably been the best run defending edge rusher in the league this season. And it's been different. Like last year, I thought he was solid against the run. This year, he's been like a difference maker against the run. And then you even can go look through, some of his pass coverage snaps. He's not dropping into coverage that often, but, in certain base packages, he is dropping into coverage, and he's been outstanding in that area. So like the sack numbers are what people are going to point to, but this player has been tremendous all around in every facet of the game on every single snap he's played. And at 32 years old is having like one of his best seasons. You could argue it's the best season that he's ever had. And watching the tape has been a treat. I can tell you that.
I was going to say, I'm sure you're like, wow, look at this play. Oh, look at this play. Look at this play.
There's like
down the list.
5 plays on here that I've been looking at. So,
that's insane. And obviously, if you're a Bronco fan, you're like, oh, crap. But to be honest, we're lucky in the NFL because we get to watch the best of the best go at it. So when you get to see somebody like him be able to go out there and make plays, obviously we're hoping Russell Wilson doesn't get sacked a whole bunch, but it's always good to be able to see incredible talent out there for sure. I'm always curious, and I hate putting people on the spot for this. What's your thoughts on Russell Wilson?
Okay. So,
it's love hard that response first.
I think like last season it's hard to parse for me. I think a lot of people would say that, like, it's hard to separate Russell from what happened with Nathaniel Hackett. I think like what people probably learned with Russell is that Pete Carroll, the way he was coaching that team, was probably helping Russell Wilson out a little bit more than everyone sort of anticipated, and what everyone believed. And I think like what's happened with the Broncos this season is that Sean Payton has figured out like a structure that works for Russell, which is very similar to the structure that was working for him in Seattle. Is he a guy that you should hand the keys to the offense and let dictate everything that's going on? Probably not. Is he a guy where you play good defense and you run the ball really well and you play ball control and you let him make a few plays off script in a game that can flip things? That seems to me like, especially at this point of his career, is probably a better way to go about it. And so like, that's good coaching, right? Like, I think in the sense of Sean Payton, like, you figure out what you have with your players and you decide, okay, this is our identity as a football team. And this is what's going to allow us to be in the most games and win the most games. And I think he sort of found that formula, not to discredit Russell Wilson or everything, but every quarterback needs different things to be successful. And at this stage of his career, like, I don't think he's, a Patrick Mahomes, a Josh Allen, an MVP guy who's going to put the team on his back. And you don't have to be that to win in the NFL. I think the Broncos are proving that this season. So long-winded way of saying, like, I think Sean Payton has done a really good job of sort of formulating that identity, figuring out what Russell Wilson needs to succeed, and then allowing some of Russell Wilson's creativity to like create opportunities in these games for them to pull it out at the end.
There's always got to be one person that each fan base is going to be like, you're the reason we're not doing as well as we thought, or you're the absolute hero. Russell Wilson always seems to be that person. For you guys, it seems to be Brandon Staley. What's your thoughts on the head coach?
Yeah, I mean, heading into this season, there were pretty clear-cut expectations, like, especially with the way last season ended in Jacksonville, like with that blown lead, like with the way the roster was constructed. They moved a lot of money into 2024. They restructured Khalil Mack. They restructured Joey Bosa. They restructured Mike Williams. They restructured Keenan Allen. They went all in with this group of players, and they felt like they had enough to be not just a playoff contender, but a winner in the playoff and a potential Super Bowl contender. And when you miss expectations, that severely, like, there's a reality there, right? That you haven't succeeded in what you anticipated and what you believed would happen. And so that's sort of the scenario right now. Like, it's the AFC is still wide open. Like, I don't think they're going to make the playoffs, but crazier things have happened. Like, they could rattle off, 5 wins here and finish 10-7 and get into the playoffs. Like, who knows? I'm never going to doubt Justin Herbert. Like, I think he's one of the best quarterbacks in football, but he has missed expectations. The same could be said for everyone involved with the organization. You can go up to the top with general manager Tom Telesco as well. They felt like they had a good group. They felt like they were going to contend, and that has not happened. And ultimately, like, the buck stops with the guys at the top of the organization. In this case, the GM and the head coach.
Who are you taking on Sunday? It's so hard to do a game pick on a Thursday, so I will give it
a tie. How about that? No. I think it's going to be tight. Like, these division games are always tight, and like, I know this is such a cop-out answer, but it's going to come down to who makes a play at the end. Like, I genuinely believe that, like, whoever has the ball late, like, if you make a play on defense, you win the game. If you make a play on offense, you win the game. Like, these division games are always like that, and so I anticipate this going down to the end. I anticipate it being relatively low scoring.
Yep.
just with the way that the Broncos like to play. And so, 2017 and whoever wins is going to be the one that makes the play at the end. It's a cop-out answer, but that's really where I'm at with things.
No, I'm totally with you. I was saying like 17-14, and
Yeah,
I think
something like
that's
that.
if we're lucky. It's not going to be a great game to watch, but it's definitely going to be, I think, at least defensive heavy for sure. So, Daniel, thank you so much. I really appreciate you hopping on.
Thanks for having me.
Of course. All right, Daniel Popper from The Athletic, you guys, of course, covering the Chargers. It's going to be a good game. And I'm seeing some of the comments, you guys, from some of you saying that Pat Surtain is overrated. I'm like, overrated? What are we talking about? You guys, I mean, last week he struggled a little bit because obviously he got hurt, and I'm surprised that he was fully back at practice. And he obviously went back into the game, but I'm like, really? Overrated? That seems just to be a little bit harsh. Broncos should have traded Surtain for draft picks. All right, let's chill out on some of these comments. There's no way you guys are saying that. And actually, if you are, let me know in the comments why you're saying that. That's what I know. The why to why you are saying this kind of stuff. So, of course, Alex Singleton yesterday was at Broncos media availability, and they were asked about him, and he said, it is all down to Keenan Allen and stopping him and Justin Herbert. That relationship right there, the chemistry is so good. Keenan has almost 1,200 yards on the season this season, you guys. That's just absolutely crazy. And here's the other thing. 18 catches have gone for 20 or more yards. 18 of those catches this season. That's crazy. The Broncos secondary is going to have their money on them tonight or on Sunday. Also, for all of you guys, I love you. Why didn't you correct me yesterday? I was saying Saturday because I'm over here thinking the Lions game with the Saturday. No, it's Sunday. Sunday football, everybody. Make sure you correct me when I say silly things like that, everybody. But it's going to be definitely very interesting. Now, on the Broncos injury side of things, all 53 people practiced yesterday. All 53 of those men were out there practicing, which was obviously a good sign for them. I am going to be very interested to see how Patrick Surtain is feeling, how he is going to be looking. Anytime you kind of just even get one of those little nagging injuries, those can kind of move forward as you go down the season. You're never 100% healthy again once the season gets rolling. So I'm going to be paying attention. Now, the other main question has been, what's the relationship between Jerry Jeudy and Russell Wilson? And it seems to be so awkward, you guys. And, Russ had this quote yesterday. It was like, Jerry Jeudy has an unbelievable ability to get open. And there's been a lot of criticism when it's come down to, it was like 4th and 2, I want to say, and Jerry Jeudy was wide open. And Russ, I think, ended up running for it on that play instead passing to it. But it was like, well, why aren't you going to Jerry Jeudy, who was wide open in that moment? Did you just not see him, Russ? Like, where was the disconnect there? And so, of course, everybody has been diving deep into this quote of him saying Jerry Jeudy is an unbelievable ability to get open. I find it to be a little bit of like, when people start posting about their relationship like all the time, it's like, oh, so-and-so is so wonderful. He treats me so good. Like, I'm going to post about it on Facebook or Instagram, whatever it's going to be. And you see these posts. I always tend to look at those posts and I'm like, oh, those are the people that probably don't have maybe the greatest relationship. And I think that's what it looks like for Russell Wilson, where he's like, oh, I'm going to talk about Jerry Jeudy so highly. And I don't think that they have that great relationship. Russell Wilson and Courtland Sutton's chemistry has been rock solid. They look good. They're on the same page, and we loved seeing that. But Jerry Jeudy and Russell Wilson don't have that same thing. Now, do I think that Jerry Jeudy should be getting more ball time? Yeah, he does. And let's take everything that happens off the field. Let's just talk about things that are happening on the field. Jerry Jeudy's made some really good catches for the Denver Broncos this year. Now, of course, we would love to see more, but that's also on Russ getting him the ball. Courtland Sutton has had unbelievable catches. I honestly think that he should be in the Pro Bowl talk. So he's not even listed, but I think he should be. But Jerry Jeudy's going to have to get the ball more, whether people like it or whether they don't. And this Sunday, I think, is going to be a perfect chance for that to be able to happen. Now, do I think it's going to happen? I think they're going to target him a little bit more. Will they be able to connect and have the conversions? We'll see. I don't know the answers to that. I think it's going to really depend on how much pressure is on Russell Wilson. And you just heard Daniel. Like, they're good at stopping the run. They're good at doing the pressure to Russ. So it's going to be a little bit of like a bad matchup for the Denver Broncos because Russ is going to have to throw the ball. The Chargers will be able to stop the run, so they won't be able to rely too heavily on that. And at the same time, when you need extra time to be able to have Jerry Jeudy, Courtland Sutton, whoever be able to get wide open, you can't allow yourself to get sacked or to put yourself in bad situations. So I'm actually really excited for the Sunday's game. I think it's going to be interesting. I'm very curious to see I want to read some of these comments. Rachel, when was the last time Surtain had an interception? I can't tell you the game, but you guys, that's because most of the time, quarterbacks aren't throwing to Pat Surtain. They're not throwing his way. So if the ball's not going towards you very often, you're not going to get interceptions all that often. Wilson clearly never saw Jeudy. Wilson knows he is wide open from watching film. It's always so hard. It's really, really hard to try and figure out what Russell Wilson is thinking in those moments. Jerry Jeudy is a show pony. He pouts when he doesn't look like a star. I think you guys, the Jerry Jeudy conversation is so hard for me because, again, I'm trying to think of like everything off the field, right? He was a first round pick. He should be getting a ton of praise and he should be putting up huge numbers. Actually, I think I have his numbers from, let me see if I can get them, you guys. He should ultimately be getting more than what he is getting. And that's just the truth. For being a first round pick out of Alabama, he should be. Like, here's his stats. Against the Vikings, 5 carries. Against the Browns, 2. Oh, these aren't carries. These are supposed to be passes. But ignore that. The Texans, 3 of them. He should be getting plenty more than what he is. But again, Russell Wilson's not getting the ball to too many people besides doing those like quick throws to the side. So I don't know. It's frustrating. But we'll obviously look ahead, you guys. We obviously got to get into some of these little quick hitters real quick because there's lots of news going on. So we will start here when it comes to Travis Hunter. He's an All-American, you guys. So huge shout out to him. Of course, I feel like we all saw this coming. He's been fantastic. He was so much fun to watch for the Buffs this year on both sides of the ball. Like, dude is absolutely outrageous. I'm excited to see what the future is going to hold. And then also, if you are a Buffs fan, then you are definitely hyped about this. Jordan Seaton, the number 1 ranked offensive tackle, has committed to CU Boulder. Committed to play for Deion Sanders. I was able to watch his announcement. Essentially, he's pulling the hat out of the bag and you can't really tell what it is. He goes and puts it on, obviously. He's rocking CU, and then he's talking to everybody else in the draft or in the class, the recruiting class, and he's like, yo, why don't you want to come play for us? And that just shows you the level for Deion Sanders. He can bring in the big guys, and when the big guys start to commit, you might be looking at others being like, oh, all right, here's another name that's getting added. Here's another name getting added. But you also know that Shedeur Sanders is literally thrilled because he's going to have somebody else who's going to be out there helping up the offensive line, being able to protect him a little bit more. So I find that to be totally fascinating. I'm excited for CU fans. Already looking forward to next season, and hopefully you guys are too. Moving on. Cartgate. All right. We just have to address this because I think it's so funny that everybody was talking about it. Trevor Lawrence obviously was injured this past weekend, and everybody was like, why didn't we bring out a cart for our quarterback who has an ankle injury? Only to find out that he indeed waved off the cart twice. So everybody freaking out about like, why didn't Jacksonville have a cart ready for their quarterback? They did. He just waved it off, not expecting to have to walk the entire way. So yes, there was a cart, and we will forever be calling this Cartgate. Now, also, if you know me, you know I am a popcorn lover. I love me some popcorn. I think that it helps bring us victories. I ate it all throughout the Avs Stanley Cup run, the Nuggets run. I eat popcorn all the time. It's what I do. I'm a huge popcorn. And now I had the utmost respect for Stephen Curry. And now I have even more respect for Steph Curry because he also is a popcorn lover. I wish I would have brought popcorn on the show today, you guys, because now I'm craving some. But I do have a bit of a problem with Steph Curry at this moment because I go on to find out that he has rated all of the popcorn from all of the NBA arenas. And I'm like, all right, I can't wait to see where the Nuggets are going to rank. I'm like, yes, I can't wait because I personally think they have some damn good popcorn out there. So I'm going through the list, and they've got Mavs number 1, Nets number 2, Heat number 3. And I'm also thinking, I'm like, maybe I need to start a popcorn tour with this kind of stuff, right? Because yum, that would be so fun if I just start rating popcorn from every single arena we go to. Anyways, I keep looking for the Nuggets, and I'm like, okay, 10, 11. I'm like, where the heck are they? All the way down at 25, Steph Curry has the Ball Arena popcorn ranked. I'm absolutely saddened by this. I'm like, they have really good popcorn. So one, am I just not eating good popcorn in my life? Or 2, does he not know what good popcorn is? Is he looking for like kettle corn? That's totally different than popcorn, Steph Curry. I don't know. I was disappointed by this news. But anyways, if you're a popcorn lover like me, please tell me your favorite brand, and maybe we'll do like a little rating one day because now I'm craving some serious popcorn. Also moving on, a look to Thursday night football, you guys. It's going to be a boring game. These Thursday night games, I'm like, could we not pick some better matchups for sure? It's going to be the Patriots at Pittsburgh. Boring. I'm sorry for anybody that's going to watch it. I think that Pittsburgh should easily run away with this. I know a lot of people have been wondering Najee Harris. He is still questionable. That was the last that I saw on it. But yeah, I think that Pittsburgh should easily run away with this. New England's a bad, bad team, you guys. So I'm just like, oh, I don't even know what's happening. I don't know what the future for Bill Belichick's going to look like. It's just not going to be pretty up there at all. And then last quick hitter we got for you guys is My Cause, My Cleats. Obviously, Russell Wilson does this for his foundation, which is supporting, children in poverty and being able to financially help them out, along with the Children's Hospital. I love this for Russell Wilson. I think that it's so amazing that he still goes out to the Children's Hospital and goes and hangs out with those kids and provides a little bit of extra joy. Sierra obviously has been pictured with him plenty of times. So I really do love this. So these cleats you can purchase. I believe that the bidding started yesterday on the 6th, correct? Yeah. Right now, the last bid I saw was $25. These are game-worn cleats that he wore in Houston. So again, I'm not sure how long the bidding goes on, but you can bid essentially, and 100% of the profit goes to his charity right there too. So his cleats were very cool come Sunday, I guess. And it says, why not you on them? So very, very cool. I always love seeing these type of things and I love, honestly, the initiative that the NFL does. I think it's always just such a cool way to feature different foundations and such. And we see so many of them all the time. So I always love seeing the cleats and, of course, having people be able to bid on them. If only the Broncos would have won, that would have made it a little bit more sweeter. But again, definitely check it out. Russell Wilson had tweeted out all the information too, if you were looking to get a hold of his cleats. Now it is a game day. The Colorado Avalanche will be taking on the Winnipeg Jets. This should be a good one. So Cale Makar is the cover player for tonight's game, you guys, and which means this has given me real hope that he is going to play tonight. The marketing teams over there, they're always good about kind of being like, self-conscious about who we're featuring because you don't want to give anybody's hopes up. So if Cale Makar is out there playing, I really, really hope so. I think that this is going to be actually a really good game. Winnipeg's a pretty dang good team, you guys. I think it's going to be really good. Obviously, here on home ice, I'm happy to hear. And I just actually saw the question, Rachel, will we have anyone healthy tonight? Makar, I'm really hoping. We haven't heard anything from morning skate yet, so I'm hoping that Cale Makar will be ready to go. I would assume Val would be ready to go. He was obviously dealing with some illness earlier on in the week, so I'm assuming that he's feeling a little bit better and will be ready to go. Cogs, Byram, I'm not sure on either one of those. A lot of it's going to be coming out from morning skate. Stay up to tuned to denversports.com, and we'll have all of that information for you guys too. So there's going to be plenty of stuff to talk about when it comes to this. Yep, Winnipeg is very good. They will be a very tough team to beat, and that is for sure. I am looking forward to this game, of course. And then real quick, too, we have to talk about the Nuggets last night. What a weird game, everybody. I'm like, Jokic still gets a triple-double, but he only goes 9 for 32 from the field. That's the most, unlike Jokic stat ever. They lose to the Clippers, which was a bit of a bummer, 111 to 102. They could not miss a shot in the first quarter, literally at all, could not miss a shot. Come down to the fourth quarter, and I don't know if everybody got tired or whatever, but they were just throwing up shots left and right. Before the Clippers kind of started to run away with it, it was a 3-point game, which would have tied it up. And KCP hit the backboard from the side. And I was like, how? What kind of shot is this? They just didn't look good. And I know a lot of people are saying there's a conspiracy now around the Denver Nuggets. And every time they have 3 days of rest, they never play very good. And they're, of course, coming off 3 days of rest. So, yeah, it was not good. Jokic just looked so weird. And again, for him to walk away with a triple-double, you're kind of like, what on earth? The Nuggets, they need to get MPJ involved a little bit more. It's one of those things that we constantly are seeing. Jamal obviously was back from injury, so we were happy to see that. Everybody's saying the boys are back in town, so it was good to see that as always. But yeah, gotta get a win now. Avalanche get a win tonight on home ice. I'm actually going to the game on Monday, you guys, and I'm really looking forward to it. It should be a fun one. Plenty of good stuff. Huge shout out to Daniel for hopping on. Obviously good stuff, and I love that he's charting all the Khalil Mack plays because he is an absolute stud. So that matchup is going to be crazy. Cecil Lammy and I will be on tomorrow morning. Plenty of good stuff, you guys. Love hanging out with you every single day. Thank you so much for all the comments. Also, we're trying to grow our YouTube channel. So if you guys could do us a huge favor, First of all, if you're watching on it, make sure you comment, not on like the side chat, but comment down below where you're watching from. I'm always so curious, and what you predict the score for the Broncos vs. Chargers game on Sunday. Put that down in the comments, not the chat, the comments down below this video. And then make sure you subscribe and like too. That helps us get out to more Denver Broncos fans, to Denver Nuggets fans, Colorado Avalanche fans too. That way we can have more people in chat with you guys every single day too. We love you all so much, and we will see you 10:30 tomorrow morning. Have a wonderful Thursday, everybody. Bye.